Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wartilyo's YouTube channel. Today, we decided to do something random at the end of the year. Nico and I are here to do a tier list of
Why
all
I
the
think
Age of Sigmar
Warhammer
factions. Yes, of all the Age of Sigmar factions. It is for GHB 2022 to 2023. This recent Galay edition. This is not going to be controversial at all. We're going to be using facts and logic and not going to piss anyone off. Winking at the camera right here. So we're just doing this for fun. So don't hate us too much. But if you have different opinions from us, say so in the comments.
I will be of sound mind and judgment for this video. No, nothing subjective.
Yeah, this is going to be completely objective, purely on facts and logic. We're going to talk about the rules real quick. So there are 5 tiers arrayed before us. S tier means the faction is really good and could use a little bit of adjustment and tuning because it's too consistent or too powerful. A tier is, it's really good and kind of in a sweet spot right now that doesn't really need too much adjustment. B tier is pretty good. It's not as consistent as A tier, but it's serviceable and has a good enough win rate and a solid enough chance to win the game. C tier is, the faction doesn't really require a complete overhaul, but it could use some buffs in order to make it more competitive friendly. And D tier is, the faction is like not gonna let you really win tournaments and needs a lot of adjustment in order for the faction to be relevant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alright, what's first on the list though?
Okay, so we have Idoneth Deepkin first up. What do you think, Nico? Do you think where do you think this one would go?
It's actually a really interesting an interesting thing to tier right now because we're back in the day where the only way people made this work back in the day was just take all eel spam, and we would technically classify that as what, D tier, right? There's just one good thing in the army.
Eels. Yeah, it would
Eels.
be
Eels.
But okay, when we say good, do you think that Idoneth can bring any sub-faction list and do well in the tournament? And when I say do well, I mean like maybe 4-1 or 5-0?
With the new book, I would actually classify this as B tier. They're so strong. Almost everything in their book is actually pretty good. So they kind of flipped the script here. The eels weren't necessary anymore. The defensive eels with ethereal that ignore red.
Yeah.
Those are the things that people used to spam back in the day. Now, from my experience playing against them, almost everything else aside from those eels are good now. So I would argue that they're in a B tier right now. It's pretty balanced.
Guard. Yeah, so Ishlan Guard aren't necessarily. We see more Sargar. We see a lot of more Thralls, I guess.
Yeah.
Reavers, right? And those used to be absolute dog.
Yeah. And the turtle. The turtle's really good now, apparently. We're seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing the return of the Alopex. The Alopex spam. We're also seeing Thralls, Reavers. We're seeing the Achillean King. Almost every hero is very useful here. I guess the only heroes that I don't see a lot are the few foot heroes, and that's not because they're garbage. It's because that people just prefer taking more bodies with more, bigger heroes, I guess, based on the meta. But I think B tier is a solid tier.
That's fair. I think Idoneth's biggest weakness is that if your opponent has a lot of aggro, it cannot survive a really strong punch to the jaw. But if you're chipping away at them with like kind of mediocre shooting or a non-committal combat phase, they have so many ways to regenerate units through rallying, through bringing back Namarti Thralls with their sub-faction abilities and their heroes to do that as well. They also have pretty good spell casting in the form of their Eidolons, right?
Yeah, even without the Eidolon, they still have the Tsunami of Terror, which apparently works on the same unit D3 number of times, which is insane. I don't know why it works that way, but apparently it does, and it never got FAQ'd.
So for people in the audience who don't know what Tsunami of Terror does, it reduces the armor save of a unit, and it targets D3 units. So, and as Nico said, you get to target the same unit over and over again. So yeah, this army is one of those armies that I think is good at everything. It's fast. It's got a wide model range, but the armies are always very small. It's actually a very elite army without Stormcast's armor.
Unless they go for the Reaver and Thrall spam, which I've seen kind of a lot of bodies on the board. I wouldn't call it elite. I think the only time it becomes elite is when they start taking the Alopex spam with the eels. That's when it becomes elite. But when you start putting in the thralls and the turtles, they can reach up to what, like 5 to 6 units, big blocks pa. Not just small blocks, but pretty big blocks.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's a pretty. I kind of agree with this assessment. I don't have any issue with putting them in B tier. Idoneth Deepkin is fairly solid. Okay, so next on the chopping block, and the cool thing about it is the moment you put something on the tier list, you sometimes have to reallocate them based on where you put them. Right? If you see Idoneth Deepkin next to something meta, let's say like Maggotkin of Nurgle, like you don't think they're supposed to be in the same tier, and that's when we have a discussion about that. The next on the chopping block though is Seraphon.
Here we go. We're gonna have a field day with this one.
Okay, I'm gonna start real quick. I think Seraphon should be here, 100%. I think they have a lot of rerolling capabilities. They have a lot of really powerful synergies and cheap units that can carry those out. They also have every single sub-faction that they have is completely viable. They have a good source of mortal wounds. They have strong resilience in the form of either summoning things using Starborn or having damage reduction in Coalesced. They also have the best magic in the game. I think they're better than Lumineth, or at least they're more consistent, assuming that there's no tech list. They also have a faction terrain that literally nukes the board if someone brings a big terrain piece. And generally, it's a faction that has no weakness save for that it is extremely hard to use. And everything needs to synergize with each other. You just have to remember all the rules. I think what's challenging about it is if you're going to play a tournament, a 5-rounder, being consistent with the best one of the best armies in the game is very tough.
Do you think that... So you're saying by putting it in S tier, you think it needs to be tuned down?
I think it needs to be tuned down. Some of their options are a bit too strong. I think the way they buff their skinks and the way that they can generate up to like 3 command points. Sorry, the Slann can generate 2 command points. The priests can also generate command points, and they have unlimited unbind range and almost unlimited range for some of their spells. I think it generally makes it hard to play the positioning game against them.
Okay.
I think they're very consistent if you're a good player.
Yeah. I think they're a consistent army too. I kind of agree that they can be in S, but something in my head is telling me they might be A tier, like the highest of the A tier lists. Just because that I personally think that they're strong as well. I just don't think that they're OP strong, oppressive strong, because they have so many tools. It's all synergistic. But but like you said, I think it takes the player to make it work together, and it rewards the player for actually remembering the rules, synergizing well, positioning well, I guess. Yeah, that's my argument lang, but it could be S. But then,
all right, so you want to add that to our like criteria, right? Like if an army is easy to use, then it's higher tier, I guess. Because
in a way, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I can see Seraphon being high A tier, but I'm gonna recommend we park the discussion until we fill this more up to see up more. Yeah, to see if it makes sense or not. Okay.
Because technically, I'm still on the fence. Also, I'm not fully convinced it's only an A tier, but in a way, playing devil's advocate, I've seen Seraphon players bring the best things and they still haven't won a tournament, and there's a clear reason why, right?
Because but I also played a few games where Seraphon could snipe out enemy heroes so well and can castle up very well, but it requires people to play completely out of their mind to do that.
Yes, yeah. I've seen other armies. Well, we'll get to that later, but I also know other armies that can do what Seraphon does. Not everything that they do, but they can. Seraphon can snipe out heroes really well. I know some armies that can do that also really well. But yeah, it's a matter of skill for me. But let's park it at S first.
Okay, let's go to Fyreslayers are up next. I'm not okay. For the record, if I put something in D tier, this is just so that Nico can see where it is on the screen.
Sure.
Fyreslayers. What do you think of them?
B tier, definitely. I would say. Well,
all right. Let's start it here first. Why do you think they're B tier?
Let's put it in B. I would argue that they got a lot more than in the previous book. They got a lot better. Their buffs last longer. They have ways to cope with their weaknesses from getting shot off the board with the new rally rules. I guess what makes it really difficult for Fyreslayers is that they have the Orruk problem. They don't have as many models as
But
other armies do.
I don't think having a lot of
Warning.
war scrolls is an advantage. It's naturally an advantage. It just means that you have less war scrolls, and the book will have to be written to be tighter to have synergy between those few war scrolls.
Yeah, but the thing is, kasi my problem now with Fyreslayers is less war scrolls. It just means less playstyles also for the Fyreslayers. I only see two playstyles for Fyreslayers. It's Magmadroth or infantry, right? That's
Magma
all you
Drop
get.
Infantry or Doomseeker spam, and that Doomseeker spam has actually done well.
The Doomseeker, okay, yeah, or you can do Heroes. Okay, I guess that's
Yeah, so that's
a
three.
third-
Three kinds.
yeah, 3 types. Okay, I guess I forgot about that one.
I
would
think the
argue-
biggest. Sorry, go first. You'd
No,
argue.
no, okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. You go.
Okay, I think their biggest weakness is the fact that they don't have shooting, and because they're a combat army, unlike Seraphon and Idoneth, which are a lot more flexible, it means that they have actual bad matchups, right?
Yes.
They're like if they have to fight an army that is very comfortable shooting them off the board, unless they can get a very good deep strike turn and double turn into that to capitalize, they actually are going to be playing off the wrong. But like if they fight Daughters of Khaine, for example, if the Daughters of Khaine player concentrates fire, while they are hardy towards shooting, they might have a problem positioning themselves on the board.
I agree, and I'd like to also also add that Fyreslayers stuff got relatively cheaper, so they bring a shitload of models on the board, and they have a
Yes.
really high wound density count. So I think this kind of makes up for getting shot off the board turn 1. They also
Yes.
have ways to rally back on a 4-up. So
Yes.
it's clear that they have a very, very big weakness against shooting, but it's good to see that they can still find a way to power through it. It doesn't mean that it's a complete wipeout. They can still
No,
power
it's
through
not.
it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Bounty Hunter meta has been particularly tough on them.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So we're doing this list regardless of the. Are we doing this regardless of the Bounty Hunter meta or?
Oh no, it's GHB 2022 to 2023. So
Oh, okay, so yeah. So
Yeah.
with the Bounty Hunter problem, they suffer the most. They're almost
Yeah.
everything is battle line Galician veterans.
yeah, but I would put them in B. I think their biggest problem is really matchup issues. But if they fight armies that like Ironjawz, for example, or Sons of Behemat, or something else that's just melee oriented, I think they have a really solid shot, and I'd be scared to fight Fyreslayers, especially since they can take a charge really well, and they're resilient enough to give your opponent top of round if they're not fighting a ranged army.
Also, they got Gotrek. They officially have Gotrek now, and they support Gotrek also in a way.
But people don't usually take that command trait. I know we were foaming at the mouth when we got that command trait came out, but no one really takes that.
I've played against it, and I can see how nutty it can get.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Gotrek is kind of his own thing.
It kind of well, maybe I'm just a Gotrek fanboy, but I just love the fact that Gotrek's biggest weakness is movement, right? You can't run, you can't teleport him, you can't deep strike him, but the fact that you can give him runes now means that you can boost his speed, you can boost his rend, you can boost. It's insane. I just love the fact that they have one unique character that's insanely strong, like how DOK has Marathi. I'm just glad they
That's
have the
true.
option of taking Gotrek also.
Yeah, but does it really count as a Fyreslayer unit if every Order faction can take him?
I would count him just because that their army specifically can buff Gotrek, and other armies can't.
Okay, I guess. All right,
They can
you know,
give him
that's fine.
runes. They can give him runes. He can use
Okay, I think though, in the context of this, because Idoneth is much better against shooting because of their Forgotten Nightmares ability, I would put them under Idoneth, but also on B tier.
Definitely. Idoneth over Fyreslayers just because
Fyreslayers,
Idoneth
okay.
can also kite Fyreslayers.
Okay, so next up are their cousins, and I think you have a lot more expertise on this. We got
Oh.
Kharadron Overlords.
Fuck. You know what? I think that these guys are B tier right under Idoneth Deepkin.
So they're shoving Fyreslayers to the right and being like, right there. What makes you say that?
Okay, so back in the days before their updates, I would have put them under Fyreslayers, but I got the taste firsthand. What the new updates do, and the Admiral just surprised me. The Admiral actually impressed me.
Okay.
So the Admiral suddenly added this one huge toolbox in the army. You bring one to any game, you can choose one of the new ammunitions per. It's not something that you do in list building, so it's something that you can always change at the start of the game. So no matter who you fight, you know what you want. Do you want additional rend for your troops? Do you want to ignore ward saves? Right? So that alone adds a lot of utility to to KO.
Okay. I actually would put KO above Idoneth Deepkin because I think that in this GHB specifically, a lot of the battle tactics are seem to be tailor-made for Kharadron Overlords. I think spelling the ball with the buffed up Purple Sun makes them extremely how do I say this? Makes them extremely consistent.
Yes, no. You know what? I kind of agree. Not that you brought up the whole spell in the bottle meta is also pretty fucky.
What's hilarious too is they FAQ'd it so that if you're count as being in a garrison in the ship, right, and you also count as being on the board in the ship, so you can barge through enemy lines just by flying over and instantly getting that extra 1 point for being Galatian.
Yeah. You definitely can. Yeah, I can see that working.
Yeah, and because they can pretty much fly anywhere in the map. Wait, can they fly in battle lines, John?
Oh shit! You're
no, because they can't set up. It counts as being set up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there's one battle plan that they're dog at, but there's a reason you shouldn't be able to fly high with ships in a map where you're trying to contest like quarters. So it makes sense.
To be fair, without fly high, it kind of hurts them a bit. Yeah, but they still move pretty fast. The fact that you're carrying slow troops into with 10 flying movement, that's still pretty good.
No, it is amazing. I actually would put them higher than Idoneth. I agree that they're B. I think that they need a little more. They need some more tools to go to A. I think they're really bad at taking double turns. They're not as resilient as the other armies that we have on this list. And they don't have the versatility of Seraphon for sure. So you want to put them ahead of IDK?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with this one.
I think they're really good in this edition specifically. With the buff of endless spells, they got really big buffs. Them being one rend is their problem, but the volume of shots makes them more than likely to kill most enemy units.
With the new Admiral, it actually kind of fixes their rend problem quite a bit. The Admiral, although it's just for one round, but that makes them very good at taking out key pieces. Yeah,
and because I think KO fits very well in battle regiment lists most of the time. Actually, no, that's not true. You want to Warlord them into Spell the Bottle, right? Or Command Entourage. Okay, so they're not a one-drop. They usually don't dictate the first or second turn, but getting double turned by KO is really deadly. So
I can actually see why you don't have to technically take Battle Reg with KO, because all you have to do is just park all the way in the back in the corners. Your opponent's not going to touch you.
That's true, but no, that's true. Okay, I can see that. So B tier for KO. I don't think this is we're just agreeing with each other at this point.
Actually, pretty fast.
Okay. So sorry.
So we're moving on to DOK now, right?
Yeah, Daughters of Kate.
Shit! Put that shit in S tier right now.
Okay.
We all know this is the truth.
Okay, I agree. Daughters of Khaine, every sub-faction is pretty much viable. Morathi is just really strong and is a hard counter to many armies on this list. It's basically Kronspine before Kronspine came out, right?
Yeah.
But would you put Daughters of Khaine above Seraphon or not? They have solid spellcasting. Okay, they have solid spellcasting. They have the best battle tactics in the game. They get extra points for just being alive, charging, or barging through enemy lines with specific units. So each sub-faction is viable. The snake kill the snakes and they'll fight back. The witches are also really good. The command trait that lets them rally back gives them surprising resilience.
You know what I think needs to be tuned down?
What?
It's the crystal stare down of the stalkers, the snake ladies. It needs to be tuned down. the Blood Sisters, because
Yeah.
everything is on the 2-up, and you don't have to be within 3 inches of each model, huh? A perfect example, what I'd like to compare it to is Blight Kings with their relentless attackers, right? I roll a dice based on the number of models in the unit that is within 3 inches of the enemy unit, right?
Okay.
And I roll higher than the wound characteristics. That's one mortal wound. So each model has to be within 3 inches. But for the Snake Ladies, the Bloodstalkers, the Blood Sisters, they only have to tag you with one model, and that's all 10 of them on a 2-up.
Okay. Considering how small the army is if you play all Melusai and how fragile they are, I'm actually kind of okay with that. What would make me put this on S tier is the hero phase shooting and hero phase combat that was supposed to be weaned out, but Morathi gives them such versatility that makes them such an oppressive army if in lots of matchups.
Every round that they get to do it, yeah. I thought it would be a once per game thing, but
No.
yeah, apparently it wasn't. So
yeah, I agree with them tuning that down for Stormcast. I think that them keeping it for Morathi, who is already almost a must-take for the Daughters of Khaine, was a mistake.
yeah, no. Games Workshop, what were you thinking?
Okay, so I guess they're comfortably in S tier because one, Morathi and her command ability is still busted. She's basically a Khorne spine. The sub-factions are all viable. You said their mortal wound output for their melee snakes is too consistent, and I think that their battle tactics are too easy, and they give extra points. I think Daughters of Khaine needs to be tuned down, though maybe in the next edition.
If they want to make those mortal wound output for the melee snakes, sorry, I'm pretty bitter about that. If they want them, it's too good. If they want to make it consistent, at least, like let's say you want to make it on a 2-up, even if only one model is within 3 inches of the entire unit of your unit, at least make it after combat phase, like end of combat phase. So it makes it. It feels very because look, they charge in, they deal a shit ton of damage, and then they get to do what 10 mortal wounds on top of the damage they just did to you.
Yeah, but that's their whole thing, though. So if you charge them, they can't use it.
They move 8 inches, and they get to run in charge. There's a way to make them run in charge. So that's, I don't know. It just seems a little bit opportune compared to other things right now.
No, I agree. That's why it's an S tier. Like I 100% agree with you that needs to be tuned down to a degree. Yeah. I just think the lethality of the blood sisters makes a lot of sense. That's what they do.
I'd make it a 3-up, not a 2-up, at least. Like if they're gonna make it that easy to do, at least make it a 3-up.
I think that's okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna complain about that.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, this is unanimous, but yeah, we're both in complete agreement with this.
We all agree there. Yeah.
Let's go to our next.
Haha, S tier.
Action.
S tier.
Okay. Memes. Okay, memes aside, I think they got significant nerfs, or at least they got significant balancing from this new tome. But even before the tome came out, they weren't really anywhere to be seen anymore after Stormcast came out, because Stormcast and Idoneth basically throat punched this to death. I think Ironjawz to an extent too.
Yeah.
So what I've seen in the meta though are Emetrica, Techless, and Helos builds. Helon, sorry, not Helos.
Again though. Helon got nerfed so hard again, remember?
But it makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know where to put them, to be honest.
This is tricky because it's a hard army to use.
Let's call Johan right now.
Oh no, he's in a flight right now.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah, if not, he would have joined us. Actually, his input would have been good because he's been playing more than all of us put together these past few weeks.
Yeah.
I would put Lumineth in low A tier.
Oh, you'd still put them in A. Okay, interesting.
I wouldn't put them in S. I don't think they need to be tuned down. I think they're hard to use. Some of their sub-factions are dog. And they're versatile. They can do lots of stuff, but they're glass cannons.
I'm surprised you didn't put them in B. Like top B. But okay, I can see them in A, I guess.
I see them in A because they still have all the tools needed for most matchups. All matchups, really. And with that much spellcasting, it's a Johnny player's dream. Like, I can see them winning most of their games in the right hands.
Yeah.
So it's like Seraphon, but not as good as Seraphon for me.
Alright, yeah. No, you're right. That's basically
Okay.
my argument with Seraphon.
All right. Next up, we have
S tier.
Stormcast Eternal S tier already. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Memes aside, what's the discussion on this? Why do you think it's S tier?
I don't think it's S tier. I think it should go in. To be honest, I think they're in A tier.
Yeah,
They
I
kind
would
of,
put
they
them in
kind
high
of, not high A.
A, but somewhere in A.
Somewhere in A. I think below Lumineth, I guess.
I
But you
would
know
put
what?
them
My
above
argument.
Lumineth.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of tricky. They kind of got hit really hard with the new tome. I agree, their tome isn't as well made as others,
Oh yeah, it's the
but
worst one.
I'd argue that they have so much in their. They have how many war scrolls? It's kind of like Lumineth.
70
That
plus.
yeah. So I guess it's a list building thing. They have the tools to win a game.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think
Yeah.
they're strong, and I think they got the versatility to be good at magic. They have solid defenses. They're an elite army, and I'd put them above Lumineth because they're a lot easier to use than Lumineth. Use
Okay.
long strikes, judicators. All their builds still hit pretty hard, and if you're fighting, if you and your opponent are like not playing out of your minds, you still have to respect fulminators on the charge, no matter
Yes.
even if
No,
you use them wrong, right?
I respect fulminators. I've seen what they can do. They can kill 4 flies in one go. So
Yeah.
Respect
Gardas is a
it.
solid hero. They've got good spells. Translocate on Translocate is an S tier ability, and they give it to this to make in Stormcast it makes Stormcast very very consistent,
yes, I agree.
right? I think
I
that they're
agree.
not so overtuned that I would bitch and moan if I fight them in a tournament, but I would be absolutely wary because it is most likely a fight that most people can lose if the Stormcast player is good and knows what they're doing.
Yeah, no. I've played with JP. I mean, God knows I play with JP almost all the time. So,
Yeah, I would put
Yeah.
them in high A.
high A. I
Yeah.
agree, I agree.
They don't really need nerfs. They have really bad battle tactics, but they make up for it by being War Scrolls the battle tome.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing about Stormcast that I think is very good is they have the opposite issue with Seraphon. Each of their units tend to be very independent.
Yes.
They can buff.
Yeah.
They have some synergies. Like holy commands require certain units to use them, and Translocate is from the Lord Relictor, I guess, or the Relictors. But each War Scroll, if you fight them on their own, Stormdrake Guard, Fulminators, Judicators, Annihilators, all of them are independent.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Okay, so next one. This one's gonna be a bit tough.
I would put this in C tier. C for Cities of Sigmar, but yeah, I would say Cities C. It's pretty fitting.
I think after the nerfs to Living City, I would say Hollowheart is the only super competitive build that they have.
Yeah. Sadly, that's. I can see how Hammer Hall can be played.
Yeah, it's not nearly as consistent, but it's a cool faction.
It's a cool faction.
They have a lot of personality.
I'd put this in C. They still have. They're pretty cool. They have so much. They have so much toolkits. But not enough to keep up with the other books right now. But they're not garbage. I wouldn't say they're garbage. They still put up a good fight.
Yeah, I think that. All right, I agree with them being in C just because the faction has so many War Scrolls, and if you're not playing Hollowheart Hurricanum, the army, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I don't know. I can't think of anything else that I'm scared of in that army.
They've got some solid battle tactics though, like the one where you just have to have a banner planted on an objective, and it's a good stall tactic. It's not so bad. I think
I can see how this army actually can still be. It's so cool. It's just really cool. Someone can big brain this army and still win.
yes, I agree. I just think, yeah, I also think that they have a lot of really bad War Scrolls in a really nicely packaged army. I guess they're like Stormcast, except a little bit worse right now, at least where we are right now. A lot of their options for battle line are basically screwed by Bounty Hunter.
Well, yeah, a lot of armies are screwed by Bounty Hunter right now, but
Yeah,
that screws them even harder, I guess.
yeah, that's true. I would put them. Yeah, I agree with them being high C. I would put them borderline B. Honestly, they're not bad. They're really good. They're still a good army.
Yeah. I still I'm struggling to put them in B or C, but I would, you know what, for now, let's just put them in top C. High C
Okay.
for now.
All right.
Then we'll
So
compare
let's
to the
move
other
on.
tiers.
Yeah. Speaking of living cities, though, the next faction is Sylvaneth.
You know what, this is tricky. I would put them in A. I genuinely would put them in A above Stormcast Eternals.
Me too. I would. Sylvaneth is so good right now.
Yeah.
This is the best they've ever been, I think. Strike and Fade is so good. The only really bad thing about Sylvaneth I can think of off the top of my head is they're basically optionless in battle lines drawn. But they have so many sub-factions. I've tried all of them on TTS, and all of them are pretty fun.
They got such a glow up. The monsters are so good right now.
Yeah, this is compared to second edition where you just ran them over and they did nothing. Dryads are actually resilient. Spike Revenants have an actual role in the army. Alaria is 800 points, but in the right hands, she's a beast. Kernel Hunters are still really good. The seasons give a lot of flexibility, and it does reward the player for playing well. It's not as easy to use as Stormcast because this requires a lot more synergy. But Telsinger with the Warsong Revenant is really good. They're good at spellcasting. They're decent at shooting. They've got ways to completely block line of sight, and they have great mobility. I think this is a high A tier army. I wouldn't even nerf them. They're in a good place.
Very high A tier. They're still beatable. Very annoying. Very annoying. And it's amazing. I just want to add, it's amazing how such a glow up the monsters had. Because back in the day, I remember the minute Spirit of Durthu just stubs his toe, he becomes the most useless motherfucker ever. Like, oh, I do 6 damage with my sword, and I took 2 damage. Now I only do D6 damage now.
It's really sad. I think them being the faction that's kind of fragile but heals really well is kind of cool. It's a cool mechanic, or it's a cool thing to have to play around. But yeah, now that they table well, I think the only thing that got nerfed with the battle tome is that ground shaking stomp is no longer something every tree lord can use.
Yeah, but it's fight last now though, right? So that's insane.
No, it's always been that, but it used to be every tree lord could do it, but now it's a monster's rampage, so only one can use it.
Tama lang, because they hit really, really hard right now for 6 damage each. It would be pretty insane if they all made you fight last. That's basically just what IDK does. But every time they get it off.
And not just that, but if they get that off, then another unit can just strike and fade, and then this unit can fight. So it's a really good synergy.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sylvaneth is fun. The battle tome is really good. I think that the only tome that is better written than I think Sylvaneth is on par with Nighthaunt and Maggotkin as really good, well-written battle tomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of which, we're gonna have a long argument about this.
D for disease.
No, I put them in S.
You just beat me already last time. I would put them in
1 point, and I needed to be very lucky. Okay. Hear me out. And I know you want to put them in A.
Yeah.
All their sub-factions are good. They're viable in tournament play. We've seen at least a 5-0 in each sub-faction. Them being extremely resilient means that they can take double turns better than most people. I think that it is an army that is a little bit easier to play than Seraphon and than Seraphon at least, and Lumineth.
I'd argue it's really easy to play. It is really
compared to some of the others, right? I mean, I think that let's not take credit from you though. So for people who don't know, Nico he plays Maggotkin, and he's done very well this year. He's basically dominated every tournament he's joined, and it also I have to take into account that Nico has mastered the clock and the timing of the clock. He also knows the ranges needed for the auras, the negation of command points, and basically a way to throw your presence around the board in a way that's oppressive to your opponent, while also maintaining healthy contagion point gain. So I don't want to discount all the nuances that make you an amazing player, but I think Maggotkin is S tier because it takes a little less brain power to play some of their builds, like Fly Spam.
Yeah.
But it's a solid army. It can resist double turns. It's very consistent, and it's good. It's a good army. I would put them above Seraphon, but under the Daughters of Khaine.
When your argument also is all sub-factions are good, I would argue that not everything is good. There are sub-factions that you don't see. So we have 6 sub-factions right now, right? So the most common we see is Drowned Men,
Yes, Groundman.
Blessed Suns is not considered good, but people take Blessed Suns because it makes Ratmire Creed battle line, and that's why people take Blessed
Yes.
Suns.
So that's the second most common, most likely.
That's
And
the
then
second
Befouling
most
Host is the
common one.
third, right?
Actually, Befouling Host is the most common, the second most common.
Oh,
And then
okay.
third is Blessed Suns.
Okay.
Then nobody takes Munificent Wonders, nobody takes the Droning Guard, and nobody takes the Filthbringers, actually. So it's 3 out of 6.
Which
Yeah.
one's the Rockbringer Sorcerer one?
The Filthbringers, nobody takes
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That has won a tournament 5-0.
Yeah, that one guy though. It's not something you
Yeah.
see very commonly.
That's true.
Actually.
But it also proves that even their worst sub-faction could be successful in the right hands. So that's kind of where I would put it in S.
And I would also argue with the new point increases, a lot of builds aren't as valid anymore. Old builds aren't valid. Like when JP mentioned the double Magathor, when he said I could just remove the Blight Kings and replace it with Rotmire Creed. It's not a valid list. It's an illegal list actually. If I do that.
Oh, why is that? Because
in
it's not on
Drowned,
the battle line.
yeah. So
Okay.
Rotmire Creed aren't battle line in Drowned. So in my old list, if I wanted to make this legal, I would physically have to split the flies, one unit of flies into 2 units of MSUs. So I'm not sure if that makes any difference, but smaller units of flies makes it easier to kill. Less condensed wounds, less board, more board presence though. I agree, but
Okay.
yeah, and that's splitting the flies into 2 units. Plus having no Blight Kings is pretty big. So it just shows you that we're cutting our wound characteristics down by, because of the point increase, we cut our wound characteristics by 20.
Yeah.
I guess that's a big HP cut already. So
That's
back in the day,
But-
before the point increase, I'd say it's S, but that's my argument for A right now. The point increase really hurts.
Okay. I think the point increase was necessary because 4 flies could take a Mega Gargant on. And they have with the ward save, they effectively have more wounds than a Mega Gargant. So the point increase was actually good. But even then, I feel like of all the S tier factions, like that's what I would give a newbie. They would not win every tournament like you because I think you're way better at the game. But like they wouldn't go 0-5 either, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Real quick. My feelings of Maggotkin right now are where Suns used to be back in earlier this year.
It's become a DPS check now for some armies.
It's become a DPS check, and with proper use of the clock, it's very oppressive at high levels of play, which you've demonstrated. So I would put it in S, higher than Seraphon, lower than DOK.
It means it still needs to be tuned down a bit.
Yes, I think that when I was playing against Willard, a friend of mine from Canada, he says that he feels Maggotkin has too many mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily agree with him, but I can see how the convergence of those mechanics makes it extremely oppressive to fight against. Yeah, I think that the clock having that turn where people can't pile in period is really really messes with people's heads. The only saving grace for it is that it's random, right? You don't have complete control over it.
Yeah, which I agree. Yeah, I don't agree that they have too many mechanics just because Sylvaneth probably has more mechanics than we do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and more.
Okay.
And everything's aura based, right? So it's really hard to take note of what they do.
Okay. I think that one of the reasons I would also put it in S tier is that there are literally armies that cannot beat it because it can't pass the DPS check.
Yeah, you'd have to outnumber us basically. You have to play the numbers game.
Yeah, it is completely out of it's so out of their control that I would say that it's S tier by virtue of that alone. Not alone, but amongst all these factors we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it. Yeah.
Sorry?
I still kind of think it's A just because we only have everything is good, I agree. I just kind of wish that they gave us better. They balanced it out by not making one thing the obvious good choice and then making it cost as much as another unit. It doesn't really remove the spam. It just makes us take this over this. Like if they make Plague Bearers better, we'd see more demon lists.
I think Plague Bearers have an interesting niche, but
yeah,
I agree with you. I don't think that. Okay, I think that the past year has shown that flies are the best, but it's not the only option. So you could, if you wanted to try different lists, you could do well in tournaments with them anyway.
Yeah, you could take You can take Beast of Nurgle spam. You can go the triple
Yeah.
Ghoul, which I still don't understand how that works. You can take the double Magus Lord, the Glotkin, I guess, even though he's not the best. He's still a fun take.
Someone even took a Ghoul plus 2 Maggot Lords, which is insane. And then I think a bunch of flies after that.
I don't know how many more flies you can take after that.
You can take
eight
flies? 250 each, right? I know. Ghoul was how many points again?
Almost 500, basically about 500, 490 something.
Okay, no, so it's probably Rotmire Creed and 3 units of flies or something.
Yeah, the Ghoul is actually not in a good place right now. Nobody likes taking the Ghoul anymore. They take the Great Unclean one. Yeah, they take the Great Unclean one for summoning because of the bell. Yeah. So they take the Great Unclean one for the bell, then they go Befouling Host for the extra points, then they go summoning build.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Okay. I can see that. But let's put it here for now. Maybe we can do a recap at the end to see if it makes sense or not.
Sure. Skaven, I would say B tier.
Me too. I would put it in B tier. I would put it... Where in B tier is the question, but I agree with it being B tier. Skaven never feels unfair. They're very flimsy and fragile, and the player has to be good. But it feels really good, right? It does so much damage if you build it that way. It's very resilient if you build it a certain way. Yeah. And it's really funny if you build it a certain way.
I think Skaven go above Fyreslayers under IDK.
I would put them above IDK, but that's just my opinion for now.
Further then, I can see, it depends on the list building. I can see some lists that would shred IDK. I see some lists that would fall to IDK and everything else.
Yeah, I think Skaven has more good matchups than IDK does, and I think that them removing sub-factions altogether for Skaven and relegating them to heroes to shape their armies was brilliant. So you can mix and match clans now.
To be fair, before in the old book, you could do that, but it was much harder to do because some things only became battle line. There were no sub-factions that day, actually. It was battle traits for each clan. Yeah. But what made it difficult was to make certain things battle line. The general would either have to be a master clan hero or a hero from that clan, right? So if you take a Scryer hero, then that means your Scryer units become battle line. But everything has to be Scryer, and that's what made it so difficult. So I agree with you with the new book. Making it rely on heroes, they don't have to be generals. As long as you take a hero of a clan, they can bring a battle line from their own clan. That's really good. It's very, very good.
Yeah. I would put this in B tier. It's fun to play. It's fun to play against. It's fun to list build. I feel like Skaven is the embodiment of GW made a really good list building battle tone. Mm-hmm. Even though it's really badly written.
Yeah. Speaking of experience, these guys popped the unit up. Well, I played against Dennis. They actually can pass the DPS check against Nurgle. He's eaten through flies with just rats. Just because they fight twice upon death. Because his Warbringer hits like a truck. Is the worsening of saves is so good.
Yeah, it's just you saved so well in that game though. So yeah, I can see why.
I don't know. This was before that game. That game, there were some mistakes made kasi also, so I kind of see how it
could have been better. Yeah, okay, I get it.
It could have been better. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, B tier Skaven. No arguments here.
No.
Beast of Chaos.
S tier, definitely S tier right now.
Where would you put them in S tier though?
I don't argue. To be honest, I have no experience with them. I have no experience fighting against them. I've seen them being played before, even before the update. Okay. Even before the White Dwarf update. Okay. Without the White Dwarf update, I'd put them in C.
I'd put them in D.
Or D, yeah, maybe D.
Without the Herdstone, they're garbage.
Yeah. But with the update, seeing the meta right now, seeing what they can do, just on paper, it's very jarring. And you'd really have to go for that Herdstone or you're fucked.
Yes. I would put them in low S.
Low S.
Would you put them above Seraphon and Maggotkin? I'd put them in low S.
I think they're above Maggotkin just because of I'm basing this off of paper, so I tend to look at the tournament scene also. It seems like Beast of Chaos seem to be dominating the tournament scenes more than Maggotkin.
Okay. Alright. Let's add some nuance to this discussion. What would you change in Beasts of Chaos to keep them off of S tier? That's a hard one, right?
That's really hard because I've never fought against them, so I don't know what's unfair about them. Because I can see how they're beatable, but it's just they come in waves. There's so much of bodies coming at you.
If you don't have a favorable double turn, if you don't alpha strike them very hard, they're almost impossible to beat. If they build to be resilient enough to survive to round 3 to get +2 rend to everything.
Yeah.
Right? So they're scared. The scariest thing about them is their ability to summon a crap ton of everything.
Yes.
They actually nerfed the summoning in the latest FAQ.
Yeah.
For the White Dwarf. So
it wasn't too bad though. The nerf wasn't too bad, right?
It wasn't.
Yeah.
I think
they
Beast
still
of Chaos
summon
is
a
pretty
crap
good.
load.
Yeah.
I think in their next book, you know how they kind of nerfed the Nurgle summoning, right? Nurgle summoning back in the day used to be way more wild, wacky, because back in the day used to give D3 D3 contagion points, and they were cheaper to summon. But they reined it in. It became harder to summon right now. So I think this is something that all Chaos armies should do: improve the War Scrolls, but rain down on, hose down
the summoning.
The summoning, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. The thing about Beast of Chaos is I've played it. I haven't fought against. I played it a couple times though. I can see this army being tougher to use than Maggotkin. Because you think it's just swarming people, right? But it's hard to play, and it gets punished by some matchups. Like you could definitely stop the summoning by killing the heroes or killing the Herdstone.
So, definitely.
Yeah. I think it's definitely S tier, but you have to build the list in a very specific way.
It's all guerrilla tactics with the Beasts of Chaos, actually.
Yeah, I would put them under Maggotkin, but I can put them above them too. Like I don't feel so strongly about it. So are we in agreement that it's here for now?
Yeah, I'm just basing this off on paper, based on because of lack of experience. I have to default to paper.
That's fair. I would also put them here because like when we look at the options, I think there's so much potential. So yeah, agreement. We are in agreement, rather. Okay, next one. I put
D
this
for
in D.
Depravity.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Hedonites in D off the top of my head. But you played with them. Yeah, but giving them the D, I get it. Mature, I know. But like, you've played with them more. I played against them more. What do you think of Hedonites?
Then they definitely need They need help. Even with the update, they still need help.
What kind of help do they need?
Point decreases. Holy shit! When they nerfed the shit out of these guys, it was horrible. 180 points for a unit of Blizzbarb archers when Sentinels only cost 160 back in the day. What were they thinking?
Yeah, and they have units that are 2 wounds with like 5 models, 2 wounds each, expensive, and die to a stiff breeze.
Yes, what do you call them? The Twin Souls. The Twin Souls. The Painbringers were okay. They were bad, fine. But they were still okay. It's still bad, but they were the best of the worst, I guess. The Twin Souls, my god, those things they were the alternative to the Painbringers, right?
Yeah.
So they had 2 damage each, no rend, and you can't control their ego pop. They have this buff that it starts in one thing, and then the next round it goes to the other, and you can't control it. It's a tempo. So so it makes it very inefficient for the point cost. And they only come in 5s.
Right. No, it is. It's so expensive, and the thing is, if you're counting on Depravity to buoy you through the long game, your units are so fragile that it's very rare for you to be left with anything. You're usually gonna die.
Even with Depravity points, what are you gonna summon? Demonettes? They're gonna die. You're gonna summon a Keeper of Secrets? That's the worst of the demons right now, actually.
That's true.
This is the worst.
The only things I like about Hedonites off the top of my head are 1, their models look great, and 2, their unique characters in the form of Sigvald and Glutos are awesome.
Yeah.
They're not the greatest, but they're awesome.
Yeah. There are some lists that make them kind of competitive. You can go the Sigvald Wrecking Ball. Sigvald Keeper of Secrets Wrecking Ball combo, but that's so much points into just one thing. And Sigvald dies so easily, even with a 4-up points. He only has 6 wounds.
Yeah, no, for sure. If you get one bad one bad prior roll and Slaanesh completely dies. It's such a
And
fragile army.
he only gets to fight first when he charges, right? So after he charges, you get the double turn. Oh, look! Suddenly he's not fighting again. He's
He
not
gets
fighting
charged
personally.
instead. Yeah,
Yeah,
gets shot to death.
and you're investing a keeper on top of Sigvald, so the keeper's
Yeah.
gonna die. There's no question.
That-
It's gonna die.
I would also say their spellcasting is very mediocre for a Chaos
Very.
army. It's
Whenever
got
I
some cool tricks, but it's not game breaking. It's fun. You know, they're fun, and I like that they're fun. But this is a tier list for competitive play.
you have to jump through so many hoops just to get a decent combo off. Like there's one spell that reduces the battle their bravery. So you roll like what 6 dice, and for each 5 up you reduce the bravery by 1. So 6 dice, 5 up, 30% of 6, right? And then okay, congrats, you reduced their bravery, but there's still a way to ignore battle shock.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah, it is what it is, you
what you
know.
can do. Yeah.
Yeah, so Hedonites is there, and speaking of the opposite of Hedonites,
Okay,
okay,
these
I'm
guys
gonna talk
are
about Khorne. Sorry, you go
okay.
ahead.
You gotta put them in
I
G.
would put Khorne at lower C, lower
Yeah,
than Cities
I
of
agree.
Sigmar at the very least, because Khorne actually has seen a lot of tournament success. So Khorne has the ability to punch really hard. The problem with Khorne is that it's being carried by a single model, and that model is Scarbrand.
And Incest Rage.
Not even. Scarbrand is way more consistent and way more powerful. If you play Blades of Khorne properly, he can fight 6 times in 1 round.
Shit.
You fight in the hero phase. You fight in combat, and then use the Reaper of uh, the the Reaper's ability to fight a second time,
Yeah.
and then it's your opponent's turn. And Scarbrand has been known to do above 1,000 damage in 5 round tournaments. But the rest of the army sucks. The only thing about Khorne that I like, besides incest rage or incensed rage, which is very inconsistent, is their unfettered fury bloodthirster's ability to let people pile in to negate unleash hell, and the blood type system, which was recently buffed so that you don't have a cap of 8 anymore, and you don't just spend everything when you summon something new. So their ability to negate spellcasting is almost unparalleled. I would say that Tzeentch and Lumineth and Seraphon are the only books that might match them in being anti-spellcasting. But
Yeah.
their units are fragile. They have extremely bad matchups against shooting. So if we thought Fyreslayers was bad, this is way worse because they're not tanky. Scarbrand
Yeah.
dies to like long strikes or consistent shooting.
Just even in melee. Even in melee he'll still die.
That's true. He can get charged by flies and just die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I would put Khorne in low C, or at least mid C, I guess.
Oh yeah, well I'll put them in the bottom right now, based on the 2. I'll put them in the bottom.
Okay.
I also think Cities of Sigmar can take Corno if you have to put them against each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Hurricanums would put a hurt on any Bloodthirsters or whatever that the Khorne would have. Khorne has pretty good prayers though overall, making
They
your
do.
opponent move D6 to you, dealing D6 mortal wounds. Summoning Wrath Axe is very fun, and being able to heal and get additional blood type points for summoning is really good. But
The blood sacrifice prayer, the one where you just kill your stuff and give, that's really good if you take blood reavers. It just right, you just keep hurting
Yeah.
your blood reavers. You get these blood type points, and then when you kill them, but when you finally kill them, you get extra blood type points on top of that.
right.
That's so good.
No, absolutely. So yeah, I guess we're not arguing about this. Khorne is where it needs to be, and looking
Yeah.
forward to the book buffs. Their mortals suck. Their demons are cool. Their mortals are basically just super chaff.
Prepare for
Please
that
give,
change, though.
please give Blood Warriors Red GW. That's really all they need.
Prepare for that to change, because I have a feeling they're gonna pull a Nurgle. Everything seems to be. Sorry, quick segue. Maggotkin of Nurgle used to be the opposite, right? Demons used to be better, mortals
Yeah.
are garbage. Now it's the mortals that are godlike, and then demons are kind of subpar. Tzeentch, we'll get to that
Yeah.
later with Tzeentch. Tzeentch used to be demon dominated, but now it looks like they're heading towards Zangor, the Zangor build right now, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, so well, we'll see later.
Okay, I would say, by the way, with Blades of Khorne, Oh, sorry, real quick. There's a rumor going around on the internet that is completely unverified that the playtests for Blades of Khorne reflect that they're overtuned. So
These
if you're a
guys are...
Blades of Khorne fan, good luck. Or at least you might have something to look forward to.
Wait, these guys are overtuned, or what they're testing right now is overtuned?
The next tome is going to be too strong. That's the rumor, but it's completely unvalidated. So it's just interesting to think about, and it's fun to talk about. But that's it.
Alright, that'll take some heat off me, I guess. Where'd you see that?
It's in Estancia chat, but it's not verified, so don't even like try to look for it.
Alright, alright.
Next,
Interesting though.
Slaves to Darkness.
The new one.
By the way, for those who are watching on YouTube right now, we are filming this on December 9th. The Slaves to Darkness Battle Tome has not officially been released, but we are going to count it because between all the leaks and spoilers and people basically playing it in casual games, it's effectively here. So we're going to count it. So Slaves to Darkness, Nico, what do you think?
8 tier. I would solidly put this in 8 tier.
Solidly where?
I can't confidently put it on top of Stormcast.
I would put it on over Lumineth though.
Yeah, because they kind of counter Lumineth with all the anti-mortals. Anti-mortals, they're extra tanky. There's ways to there's so much ways to fuck around with Lumineth with slaves, I guess.
Okay.
They spell eat.
They spell eat, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No, sorry. So Slaves to Darkness, I think, is really good. Mark of Khorne and Mark of Nurgle seem to be the darlings, with Mark of Nurgle making your wound rolls worse in melee, and for Mark of Khorne giving you +1 attack. I think that Chosen can do an absurd amount of damage with Mark of Khorne, and as of right now, because the Blaze of Khorne book is not updated, there's a lot of Khorne units that can synergize with them, like the
Stoker.
The Bloodstoker, yeah, to give all your Khorne units in Slaves to Darkness +3 to run and charge. And
insane.
yeah, the Bloodsecrator gives them +1 attack, so a Chosen could have 5 attacks in the right circumstances each.
Yeah. The cultists got really good too.
Yeah. All of them gotta have all the armored units now have a 3-up save. The Knights do more consistent damage now. Varangard hit like trucks. Each of them is like a mini boss in their own right, which I think is pretty awesome.
They fucking should. They cost what, $100 for 3 models only? That was really expensive.
Yeah, Archie now has a consistent 5-up ward save, though he lost his ability to predict the future, which is unfortunate. It's now just once a game that he can do that.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. But he's 25 wounds now with a 5-up ward save. I don't think he's dying anytime soon.
Yes. The book also has pretty insane cultist choices. Splintered Fang is super cheap, but deals mortal wounds on 6s with 3 attacks each, I believe. And you can spam that. Yeah, the only thing stopping people from spamming it is that it's so expensive to buy that many models, I guess.
Yeah, but I think these guys are kind of overtuned, so I'm expecting kind of a slight nerf, I guess, in a way. Kind of like what they did with Rotmire Creed, just a minor... Because they're 100 points at wound on 2s, then they have 3 attacks each, mortal wounds on 6. That seems a bit too good for 100 points. Just like Rotmire Creed was too good at first, right? So, we'll see.
Okay. Another cool thing about this army is that there's some factions that are mostly fun, except the Legion of the First Prince, but we'll get to that later. They have a sub-faction where they can rally on a 5+. If you can rally Warriors, Varangard, and Knights on a 5+, which is big. You have Knights of the Empty Throne, which allow you to run and charge with cav units, making your army absurdly fast. And if you are Mark of Khorne, that is going to be really nutty.
Yeah, some things took a hit in the new book, though. Like, the Demon Prince kind of took a hit.
It needed to take a hit, but you're right.
Yeah, well, what needed to take a hit was the specific Khorne ability, the Bloodstick Ground.
Yep.
It's sad to see that the entire hero got hit overall. It's not amazing, it's unique, but it's not garbage. I would say that it became a unique toolkit, utility hero over a duelist.
Yeah, I agree. Imagine this: you're playing with your Chaos Lord and Karkadrak, and the gods bless you by making you into a worse model.
Yeah.
I guess. Speaking of, sorry, go first. You guess what?
Is there
Sorry
a
about
way that you get to keep old buffs, like I guess your command traits or artifacts, when you transition to demonhood? I guess that's
I have no.
yeah, but your attacks are worse now.
Generally, yeah, your mount dies and turns into you, I guess. I don't know. But speaking of which, their battle tactics are really good and very consistent. They have one where you just have to roll the Eye of the Gods table, and now Eye of the Gods is so consistent and fun, right? You can do it by taking an opponent's objective. You can do it by killing an enemy hero. And you can do it with a spell. There are so many ways for your army to get Eye of the Gods now.
It doesn't happen in once in a blue moon like before.
Yeah.
That was so rare back in the day.
Yeah, I can see this army being super fun and super strong. Their battle tactics are really easy to do. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next GHB. But you put them in this GHB, they're really good.
I kind of think that they'd even compete with Stormcast Eternals just because they have a lot of War Scrolls and almost every War Scroll. Unlike Stormcast Eternals, though, it seems that almost every War Scroll got better. Almost everything got better.
Yes. I would argue that what keeps them under Stormcast is their lack of shooting, which makes some of their matchups abysmal.
Yeah. That what keeps they'll be playing the long game like the Fyreslayers. They just they brave out the shooting. Since they do have 5-up ward saves, and they did improve the saves by 3-ups now. And the rallies are now on 5-ups, so I guess that's their counter to shooting. It's just the resilience.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's super fun. Everyone seems to love this book. But just like with how people respond to Maggotkin, we can't really judge it based on the book upon release. In fact, it's not even out yet. But on speculation, this book looks amazing. I would put it above Lumineth, and I'm excited to see it on the field.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
That was a fun discussion, actually.
It was. Okay.
Oh, these assholes.
Yeah,
their time in the sun is done.
I would put them in high A.
High A. It's good to see them out of S.
Yeah, I think that it's an extremely hard army to play. But Kairos losing that die was what they needed for me to say, yeah, you now have to actually manage your resources well. It's still really strong. It does so much damage. It has great shooting now. It's got resilient units if you build it that way.
They lost some spells.
It's just really hard to play, but you're right. They lost some spells. You can't just spam Lord of Change, or you can't just spam things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Still really good, though, in the right hands. It does so much damage.
Yeah, you know what makes them really good right now in this meta right now is
what?
Pink Horrors becoming expert conquerors just fucks with my head so much. 10 models counting as 30, splitting into 30 models counting as 90? My head, shit.
No. I think what stops them is their 250 points, and they will definitely not beat Blight Lords and Blight Kings in combat.
I would argue that they could brave out Blight Kings and Blight Lords if Blight Kings and Blight Lords are not bounty hunters.
Yes.
They can brave them out because demons get, if I remember correctly, there's a way to give them even -1 to hits against big horrors, so it makes them really resilient.
Yeah, if they're next to a demon hero or within a certain range, then they do have that.
Yeah, definitely. I do not, even with Blight Kings, I'm very careful when I throw stuff into this. Because the minute you throw something into a tar pit of big horrors, I feel like you're just stuck there forever. Is there a way to retreat? Or don't they have a way to prevent retreats?
I think there's a sub-faction that prevents retreats.
Yeah,
but I'm not super keen on that.
I think that the fact that these guys cost 250 points, the same amount as 5 Blight Kings, I think these guys are way better. I would, if Nurglings were like that, and they cost the same amount as Blight Kings, I'd take these guys over Blight Kings, just because they play the numbers games better.
Agree to disagree. I think that Blight Kings actually slap back. These guys don't. They tie you up, but you're right. I can see why this would be very annoying.
I've seen Blight Kings pop. I've seen a 5-man Blight King unit pop to certain things. I've never seen. Well, no, I have seen. I haven't seen a pink core unit pop to something that's not bounty hunters. And the minute that meta leaves, I don't know how we're gonna deal with that horde without any horde clearing spells.
That's true. Yeah, I think Tzeentch is really good. The fact that, what their summoning is probably pretty inconsistent. I think if your opponent has no spell casting, then it cuts your ability to summon in half.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
good God, though, this army is really strong. I don't want to fight against a player who knows what they're doing and plays DOT. Really hard army to TO for as well, because there's so many rules.
It's nice to see Zangors get their time in the sun also. Zangors is the big winner here. They basically ignore all negatives when you're hitting an opponent, and you ignore all positives also for them. So no all-out defense, no... It's pretty balanced. I'd like to say that this book is actually pretty balanced right now. Zangors ignoring debuffs and ignoring buffs, but only having one shot each. It makes it pretty fair.
Yeah, the fact that you could cheat, though, like, you could just be like, yo, your opponent fired 3 shots at you. I use a Destiny die to save one of them. Now you need to commit another, round of shooting against them. I think that this is borderline S for me.
Yeah. It's still too soon to say. But from what I've seen, it's A. Just because it would be S with Bronzespine, but it's A right now.
Yeah, let's not count Bronzespine for now. Which makes this next army a little bit of a doozy to talk about. This has a special place in your heart, I believe.
Yeah, D for Death. God bless their souls. These things were so fun to play. But sadly, it takes too much work to make it work. And even when it does work, D tier. Definitely bottom D.
I would put them above Idoneths.
Oh, just because of the Gristlegore.
Gristlegore, but they made it so that you could summon with all of your heroes for free, right? With their command, with the recent buff.
Yeah. No, I haven't played that yet, so yeah, you're right.
I played this a bunch. I played against it like once, I think. The new ones, at least. I played against this a lot, the older editions, and I can see why they're D. I think they're more consistent than Hedonites, especially when you buff a unit up to give it +3 attacks, +4 attack even, and then like have them fight twice. It's super nutty. Its biggest weakness, I think, is the monster meta, where if you get roared, well, good luck, have fun. Yeah, you're pretty much fucked. No peace stay for you.
Oh my god. I remember back in the day when this was my first army. So back in the day, I enjoyed these guys, and I felt like, wow, these guys are so strong. And that's because I was fighting a guy who played Grots, and when I started punching up, then I'm like, oh shit.
You're punching sideways. Oh my god. And it must be such an experience to fight armies that actually survive you.
Wow, I killed 60 Grots with horrors. Okay.
Horrors must be really good at everything.
Yeah, then when I threw horrors at the giant turtle of the IDK, like, holy shit, dealt 0 damage. Fighting twice, 0 damage.
Wow.
I guess I'm gonna die then.
Fan freaking tastic.
I know.
Alright. There isn't much to talk about. They lack the tools. They're basically like Ironjawz and Fyreslayers. They lack the options, and they're paper.
It's the same war skill over and over again. Do you want small ghouls, big ghouls, or do you want winged ghouls? That's all your choices.
They all save pretty poorly. But giving them all 6-up ward is pretty nice.
I guess.
And I would say that makes them tougher, better than Hedonites.
Hedonites get 5-up ward saves now, by the way, to say.
I mean, that's if you have enough depravity, right?
Yeah, which I'd argue actually instead of summoning, I just hoard these depravity points just to keep that 5-up ward save.
It depends where you are in the game, I guess. But yeah. Okay, so Soulblight Gravelords.
Soulblight Gravelords. This is an interesting topic, actually.
I think it's between B and C. I would put it in low B.
Low B. These guys put up fights. These guys can still win tournaments, but they're not amazing.
They feel like the fairest army. They're like Skaven. When I fight one, I'm like, okay, my opponent's good and he's gonna do well, but it's not gonna be like, okay, I need him to fuck up,
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's B instead of C because it's very internally balanced.
Yeah, because I've seen Patrick play this army and it's really annoying.
Yeah, but I think as of right now, there are very few builds that are good. Like, if it punches down, it's extremely good, but if you pit it against Disciples of Tzeentch or any of our S-tier armies, it will struggle quite a bit.
Even as Nurgle, I kind of struggle with this just because of the mobility and when they pop up everywhere on the board. So I've lost to this army actually before.
Once.
Yeah, but it shows that I make a mistake and he just exploits that and it's winnable.
I guess that's true. I think the viable ones are Legion of Blood, Veercross,
Night.
Legion of Night to a degree, yeah, and Castella is the one that everyone wants to work, but it's not consistent enough to be good.
Wasn't that something everybody took back in the day and it actually worked?
Once
Double
upon a
Dragon
time,
build.
yes.
Was
I
this
think
before all
early
the
in
other?
third ed, yeah.
This was before all the other third ed books, right?
Yes. There was a time when Veracross also did well until most of the other books came out.
Veracruz actually I can still see doing pretty well. They're very balanced, they're very fair, but the problem is other books aren't fair.
Yeah, there are a lot. It's like the opposite problem of some of the other armies, like I guess Daughters of Khaine or Stormcast. This army requires way too much thinking power to get them to work, but they're cool.
I don't remember Nagash thinking this hard.
And the guy doesn't even have a ward save against non-mortals because he's an idiot.
He doesn't even have ethereal. He's a skeleton ghost thing. No ethereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
But, yeah, I think we're in agreement. Bottom B.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is the worst army in the game right now. OBR?
Really?
Okay. Why is it C? This is actually going to be an argument between you, a debate. So go ahead. Why is it C for you?
I think these guys wreck. I think these guys wreck Slaanesh and ghouls.
Oh, wow, they punched down so hard.
Yeah, no, genuinely, I think these guys are worse than Khorne. But I still think these guys are better than ghouls, just because that they're very tanky. They're pretty good against the worst armies. They're still pretty good. That's my argument here.
I think OBR suffered the most transitioning from second to third ed, while Seraphon benefited the most from transitioning second to third. I think OBR suffered the most because them not being able to get a lot of the generic battle command abilities kind of fucked with them pretty hard.
They have their own after the updates.
Yeah, but do you think they're C? They're bottom C, you think?
I definitely think they're bottom C just because I think they're top D or bottom C. That's my argument right now.
Okay. Do you think the entire faction needs a rework?
Like a total rework? Like scrap the rules they have now?
No, as in like sort of like with Gitz, you need to revamp the philosophy of the army to make it work in third edition.
Not that bad. I think it just needs new mechanics.
So you think it's bottom C?
Well, I still think they're bottom C.
Okay, let's talk about their options. How many sub-factions do you see being viable in tournament play?
Archons, Petrifex Elite, the other one, what's...
Oh, you'll even know what they're called.
I know this... Wait, sorry. Petrifex Elite, the... Archon's magic, anti-magic one's really big right now. And yung kay Catacross. Catacross is, the name is just stuck, but it's Catacross' sub-faction. These are the three that I see.
Boys. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ones you don't see are Crematorians. You don't see that. You don't see Ivory Host. So these are the two that you don't see often.
I didn't even know those existed. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly, right? But
okay.
Petrifex Elite still is better, I'd argue, but compared to Slaanesh and
Feck.
Feck.
Okay, you know what? You're right. You've convinced me. I think that they're... Yeah, you know what? You've convinced me. I think that they are bottom C.
Yeah. I mean, I played against them with Nurgle. Nurgle won, obviously, but I can see how they can hold off a lot of armies that aren't shooting, in a way.
I guess.
I'd actually put up a decent fight against Fyreslayers, not gonna lie.
Yeah, unfortunately, they get rickety wrecked by anything in A tier right now, and probably Kharadron Overlords.
Even against Skaven, also.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, bottom C. Very few options. I don't think they've adapted very well.
Yeah, no, definitely. They need an update.
This next one's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drag it up to where I think it needs to be, and then you can tell me whether it makes sense to you.
Sure.
Boom.
Fair. Fair. Pretty fair.
Wait, let me go. Boom.
Fair. Yeah, no, I think so.
Okay. I don't think Sylvaneth has had the best glow up. I think Nighthaunt had the best glow up of any battle tome because retreat and charge and the charging having these effects is really good. They got so good. The book became so much fun to play and read. playing against them sucks. But
Yeah.
not being able to rally or inspiring presence next to them is
Big. Very big.
Yeah, it's super big.
That's against any. If you're next to anything, no matter how garbage the unit you're next to, you can't inspiring presence.
Yeah, no, it is. That's true. Nighthaunt is really good. I think that Bounty Hunter tests them, but they're really swingy, so you can't reliably like kill them. So most of your kill battle tactics are going to be tough unless you have a lot of mortal wounds.
You know what? I'd put these guys a little bit higher if Bounty Hunters didn't exist.
That's
If
true.
they didn't exist, yeah. A lot
would
of things
put them
here
even-
would actually be higher without Bounty Hunters.
I would also put them higher if we had a more melee-oriented meta, which we don't.
Yeah. Against shooting, I've witnessed them get shot down, but
Yeah,
they have so many mechanics to avoid shooting. There's so many mechanics
Yes.
to avoid them getting shot to death.
that's true.
Yeah.
I think this is an army that's solid if you're an average player, but at the highest level of play, Nighthaunt is really ridiculous. And there are some matchups where they just straight up win.
They have insane mobility. And ways to hide pre-game, so you can you set up first, your opponent sets up counter deploys you, and then suddenly you pull stuff out of the board. That's so good.
You know what's funny? I think that I actually find Nighthaunt to be a slower army. It looks fast, but I feel like its threat it can't bring its threat. Its threat range is like 8 inches.
Yes, because there's no way for them to run in charge, which is fair, because that
Yeah.
would be pretty broken if they could run in charge. When
Yeah.
they deep strike, it's always a 9-inch charge. And let's say you deep strike 3 units. You're gonna get 3 attempts right there for the
Yeah.
well, maybe 4 with the reroll, right? So
Yeah.
it's not the best for deep striking. They don't hit that hard. If you
Yeah,
want them
that's
to,
true.
if you want them to be completely effective, you want all of them to charge at the same time.
Yes. And getting double turned by Nighthaunt is extremely excruciating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it in like mid A.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I actually think they still fall behind slaves, but we'll see how slaves do, I guess. They still have to prove themselves.
Okay. Next one's a bit of a doozy because this one just came out. Ogor Mawtribes.
They're somewhere in A, for sure.
I would put them here. Actually, no,
Yes,
I would put them here right now.
I'd put them above Stormcasts.
Because of
Personally,
Undergut?
just because of Underguts, they have the best
Okay.
shooting right now, I'd argue.
Okay. That's interesting. I am not gonna argue with you on that. Okay, they have, as of right now, there seems to be 2 sub-factions that are kind of good in the meta. It's Underguts by as really far away first, and then Boulderhead.
Yeah.
People say Meat Fist is fun, but I just don't see it being as consistent as the other 2.
It's not that consistent.
Yeah, the Iron Blast. I don't know. They need to fix the Iron Blasters.
You think they're broken?
I actually think Ogre. There's an argument that if Underguts was the entire faction, it's bottom S.
Yeah. There's rumors actually that they're gonna fix it though, right?
There are rumors that. Yeah, there are a lot of rumors, but yeah, until they actually do that, I put it like high A. But
You know what?
mostly carried by Underguts.
What's so funny is a single Iron Blaster costs how much? 170 points?
It's just a 70. Yeah.
170, roughly around that range. It shoots. It does almost more damage than an Ironclad. Just because of the red.
Yeah, and with Underguts being like giving him -1 and the Tyrant giving +1 to hit, it's a bit much.
A bit overtuned, though.
Yes.
Yeah. They seem overtuned on paper, but when I played against with 2 Iron Blasters shooting at me every turn, it didn't feel too bad. But I guess it's because overtuned
You're
versus
Nurgle.
overtuned. Yeah.
Oh,
So
it's also because you're Nurgle, but yeah, it's definitely if the player rolls well, it's definitely gonna punish most people with 30-inch range. That's kind of nuts.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'd say that they're pretty strong right now. The only thing holding them back, I think, is their artifacts suck. Their mount rates got nerfed, but the -1 to wound on Stonehorn mount rate is so strong.
That's so big, and they got
So big.
buffer. They got buffer,
Yeah.
and now he can slingshot himself.
Well, if you had told me like months ago that there would be a mount trait that people would take over Metal Cruncher, I wouldn't have believed you. But
right? I thought Metal
yeah.
Cruncher was going to be good for it until now, but
yeah,
doesn't seem like it's
Yeah.
the case anymore.
yeah. They have a lot of crap options though, like Yetis and Gorgers suck. Gorgers suck so much. Like I've tried
Unless you
to play against them. It's just like nothing redeeming about it. Hunters are still
you want-
okay, I guess.
Unless you want deep striking, I guess, for like these easy battle tactics.
I guess. Do you have any open there?
It's actually
No. Okay. All right, that's fair.
it's okay. It's actually really easy to fit in single gorgers behind the enemy lines.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty niche. So
yeah, and like I'd rather just get another Iron Blaster.
yeah, true.
Honestly, just get 4 of them or 3 of them.
Yeah, you just charge them in when the enemy gets close. Just charge them.
Yeah, I think this one needs a bit more time in the oven, but this is our speculation that it's like above Stormcast and A tier.
Kind of slowly creeping up to S tier.
Yeah.
Slowly getting
Imagine
there.
the debut weekend it comes out, it wins like 3 tournaments. It goes 5-0 in 3 different tournaments. And they're all underguts.
And they're all under that, exactly.
Next one.
Sons of Behemat.
I put them at top B.
Oh, really? B?
Okay.
B? I still think
On average, they have like 3 or 4 attacks on average now.
Because you're.
So I played Sons last week against Slaves to Darkness, and I rolled 3 attacks. If I don't give an all-out attack to the Garden that's fighting, out of the 3 attacks, 1 or 2 are gonna hit. On average.
I don't know, Lance. It sounds like a you problem, right? I'm joking. No, but no, I get you.
Yeah, the lowering of volume is nuts. It's definitely a much better army now because it's catered toward Timmies. It's big swings for sure, but that's the thing. They've become so unreliable. I think it's top B. I don't think it's as oppressive as they used to be. I think Games Workshop kind of fixed them. I don't think they'll lose tournaments. Okay? Like, they won't go 0-5 because they're still technically a DPS check, but they're not nearly as oppressive as they used to be based on my playtest.
You know what? I won't argue with you that it's in top B because top B is basically just bottom A. So
yeah, I can see any of the A factions beating Sons of Behemat.
Yeah, you're right. I can see that, especially in Nighthaunt now.
Yeah, I can even see Kharadron Overlords beating Sons of Behemat.
Yeah, definitely.
Kill Sons, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
Might be. I can see Skaven beating Sons also now.
A bit less so for me. But you know what?
The number of shooting Skaven has and all the debuffs.
Yeah, but Skaven, because Skaven isn't. But the thing about Skaven is it's not an Alpha Strike army. It doesn't just throat punch you. It's something that ticks at you over time. It takes big chunks out of you, but it's not like Ironjawz or Stormcast.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, no. Put Sons on top of Skaven. You're right.
Yeah,
and all the good stuff. A lot of the stuff that carries Skaven died really easily to Sons.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, next faction. This is Big Wa.
Alright, that's up to you. This is your.
Okay, I will put Big Wa in below Sons in B tier. I think that there's a lot of options, but it's very tempo based. It's really hard to pull off as an army. There's an argument for it to be an A tier, but you need to play out of your mind to maximize it. It's so hard to play, and it's mostly a shooting army for orcs. In fact, it's basically what Cruelboyz should have been if they had cheaper battle line options.
Yeah.
So I would put it there. I would nestle it in B tier. Some people on the internet might disagree because there was a time when Big Wa had one of the best win rates because only a few people would be bringing them and they would perform well. But overall, I think that Bonesplitterz now does what Bonesplitterz does better than Big Wa. Ironjawz alone is better than Big Wa, but Cruelboyz is the only thing that really shines in Big Wa compared to the others.
It's a fun mix.
Opinion. Yeah.
It's a really, really fun mix. I agree.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
genuinely think these guys are better. I think Big Wa is better than KO. I've played against you.
Um,
I think you guys can wreck a lot of the top tier armies compared to these two.
you know what? That's true. I think it has more better spell casting.
Yeah.
I think that it can.
You have the DPS, you have the spell
Yeah.
casting.
I see
You
a
have the
World
run.
Prophet side killing a Mega Gargant.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
kind
don't
of
see a
messed up
world.
when it does.
I see a world where the Mega Gargant doesn't even kill much in a Big Wa army just because you have better mobility, you have shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's true. I think that the only disadvantage of Big Wa for me is that it wants to ramp up very quickly, but it doesn't have the same sustain that Chaos normally has for summoning stuff.
yeah.
But it's an Orc army that shoots. I think it's fairly consistent in the right hand. It's very good, but not quite A tier for me.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
This deserves its own special category.
Okay, we can stop talking now. Okay, I'm kidding. Where do you want to put this in D tier? Because we're not putting this in C. Where do you want to put this in D tier? You're the one who
Okay,
wants to play this army.
I'd argue that these guys are better than Slaanesh right now for some
Wow,
reason.
I'm so sorry.
That's really
Slanesh.
sad. That's
That's
really
super
sad.
messed up.
I don't know anymore. With the new updates for Slaanesh, I don't know if that makes them equal or slightly better than Grotz. But didn't Grotz get updates also?
They got updates, but they're not quite enough to push them into consistently playable. If I brought them to a tournament, if I got 2 out of 5, 3 in a tournament, I would be happy.
Okay.
Like that's my 5-0. That's what I'm aiming for.
There's only one way to solve this right now. Who do you think would win in a fight? Gloomspite Gitz or Slaanesh? It's hard, right?
That's depressing. No, this this conversation's actually giving me depression. Wait. I like
Slaanesh
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
My bias is I like Gitz more. But I do think that if I had a gun to my head and someone gave me 2 armies to choose from and I had to fight the other army, I'm likely to play Slaanesh more than Gitz.
If you had to bet your firstborn, who would win? Who would you bet on right here?
Oh my god, it's so messed up. In this meta, I would.
Let's
You know
ignore
what?
the players here.
You know what? Can I pick the sub faction of Gitz?
Okay, yeah, sure. They have some factions.
I would put Trogoth above Slaanesh.
Really?
I would put Trogoths or Trogoths or Spiders above Slaanesh. I think Squigs are too wacky and unique. Or like Grots are a bit bottom tier for now, I think. Yeah, this is where I put them. What about you? Do you agree with my assessment?
I can see how they can win against Slaanesh, but I'm also thinking about Lurid Haze. How Lurid Haze can kind of wreck Gloomspite Gitz in a way. And in terms of the long game, I think Slaanesh wins in terms of the long game because Gloomspite Gitz have so much ways to bring back dead models. The rallying, the bringing back the unit, which translates to more depravity points for Slaanesh. Because Slaanesh can clear out hordes, but they will farm the shit out of depravity points by killing goblins.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I don't think Slaanesh can ever clear a Grot horde just because of the nets. Those damn fucking nets.
So would you put Slaanesh above Grots or Grots above Slaanesh? I kind of want your opinion on this because the more I think about it, the more depressed I get.
Yeah, you know what? I think Grotz goes above Slaanesh.
Slaanesh is so bad right now. Yeah, unfortunately, that is what it is. It is what it is.
They have no horde clearing spells or anything else.
That is depressing. Yeah, okay, fine. That works. Yeah. Legion of the First Prince is no longer a faction. I'm putting them below Slaanesh. Hopefully Slaanesh feels better. Legion of the First Prince, for context, used to be the best faction in the game. But Kairos lost his destiny, its ability to cheat a die. Be'lakor lost its bodyguard ability. Bloodslick Grounds is no longer the Demon Prince.
Like
I've never seen a faction. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any major faction so systematically dismantled the way GW dismantled Legion of the First Prince. The
You
only
know what?
saving grace. Sorry, go.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The only saving grace it has is that it's part of the Slaves of Darkness battle tome now.
Exactly. So I actually argue that it shouldn't be on this list right now, just because we already reviewed slaves.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just take it out. You're right. Let's put it out.
Which is kind of sad for Slaanesh. The only way to be worse than Slaanesh. No, wait. Is there a possible way to be worse than Slaanesh? Next up, Cruelboyz.
Okay. Someone recently went 5-0 with Cruelboyz. But it's one person.
Yeah. We've seen someone go 5-0 also with Slaanesh. With one person.
That's true. They had to cheese it with Beasts of Chaos units, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Cruelboyz, with the point decrease, I can see them being better than Slaanesh, but as of right now, I see them being bottom of bottom tier. I'm actually really surprised. This is the army that came out this edition. Off the bat, off the gates of 3rd edition, they're like, come on, guys. You want to play Warhammer and have fun? Stormcast Eternals and Cruelboyz. It eventually became like a box of, hey, buddy, do you like winning or losing? Which half do you want? Because like on paper, Cruelboyz does so much stuff. What?
Shit. It's like the Sylvaneth Skaven box. Do you want the 1,000 point half or do you want the 500 point half?
Yeah, okay. Cruelboyz is the army that I would put them above Hedonites right now because of the recent buffs. Okay, Cruelboyz is an army that I think GW was afraid of making good. We give you amazing spells. We also give you a great buff, but you can only do one of the two of them, making you super mediocre.
Now they can do dual, right? Because the buff.
Now they can do both, yeah. It's above Hedonites now.
Everything was so fucking expensive back in the day.
I would argue about Grots.
Yeah.
No? Not yet? Maybe here. Okay, you have to earn your spot, Cruelboyz. Unlike Slaves, which just impressed us.
No, you know what? I'd put Cruelboyz above Feck.
In D tier?
Yeah. You know what?
Okay, you know what? Fine.
King of the D tier just because somebody went 5-0 with this.
But without Hedonites, man. Hedonites is...
Without spamming Beast of Chaos models.
Okay, in context, the Cruelboyz player got 5-0 in a team event, okay? Which means that there was a way to curate matchups to a degree.
Yeah.
So, grain of salt.
Yes. I think Cruelboyz, because the main shtick of Cruelboyz would wreck key units of all these D tier armies.
Yeah.
That's my argument right here. Straight up.
Alright, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, we're basically going to their cousins now, the two other armies.
Yeah.
I would put Bonesplitterz at low S.
Oh boy, S tier. They're still S tier until now?
Okay, this is a very hot topic because Bonesplitterz, I think, has the potential. I've played Bonesplitterz between the Wargog Prophets and they're just assloads of models. I can see them being really competitive. In fact, if you had a gun to my head and I had to choose an army to play for the life of my non-existent firstborn, then I would not even be playing Ironjawz. I would probably be playing Daughters of Khaine or Bonesplitterz.
Okay.
Like, this is if I really wanted to cheese the game out. Because Bonesplitterz has so many wounds, so much output. And Wargog Prophet, which is hilarious.
You know what? Bonesplitterz should go above Nurgle in S tier, just saying.
No, I wouldn't say that.
It actually wrecks Nurgle.
If they pick the sub-faction that negates wards, but the meta army for Bonesplitterz doesn't do that. Bonesplitterz picks the army that on 6s to wound, they're mortal wounds, in addition to damage. So on 6s to hit, it's additional attacks. On 6s to wound, it's mortal wounds. Bonesplitterz is kind of nutty right now.
So they need to be tuned?
I think they need to be tuned down slightly. I don't know what I need to do to fix them. Maybe a few points increases here and there.
Yeah.
But I can see a whole boar army being absolutely bonkers with them. I'd put them above Tzeentch just because I don't think Tzeentch can chew through all the Bonesplitterz.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I would. This is how I would do it. But this is very contestable, okay? Because Bonesplitterz, is only high in tournament standings because of like 3 to 4 people. Okay.
Yeah.
So the army is actually a bit. You know what? Yeah, so it's bottom S for me because I think of the 5 S tier armies, it is the hardest to play. Because you have to really ration your resources out. You're not going to win any honest fights.
Alright.
But with volume and, you know, a little trickery, you can get there. I feel like Bonesplitterz now is what Cruelboyz should have been, I guess, in a way. Actually, no, that's not true. Never mind. That's a lie. Okay.
No, I was thinking that right now. It's kind of weird that I kind of thought that Cruelboyz would play this way. Just overwhelm you.
Okay. Yeah, but no. I actually think that they should have given some Cruelboyz tricks to Gloomspite Gitz. Because it's all about, we already had a sneaky greenskin army that's very malicious.
And then you made
Okay.
tall, sneaky greenskins.
Yeah, they had to get their hillbilly cousins up here.
Alright.
The last army.
Ironjawz. S tier all the way. This is your army.
Yeah, it is. I put it top of B tier. Actually, I would put it underneath Big Wa. Why?
Yeah, no, definitely under Big Wa.
I think Ironjawz is really good. It's a solid army. If this list was based on like beginners are us or all munchkins or newbies, Ironjawz would be top of S tier.
Yeah.
Because if you have no fundamentals, dealing with Ironjawz is extremely tough. But if you know what Ironjawz does, and you know just how dependent they are on command points, and you know that they're basically a one-track mind army with only one sub-faction that usually wins tournaments, Iron Suns once in a blue moon, I guess, then you can dismantle Ironjawz. You could put a unit within 12 inches of them for them to lose their ability to move in the hero phase, and they must instead attempt to charge. If you are able to kill their general, you stop them from doing their Wa, which the Bonesplitterz and Cruelboyz have good Was in the sense that they are very defensive Was.
Yeah.
Right? But Ironjawz relies on smashing and bashing and relies on a general that usually doesn't have a ward save. Anything in A tier besides Slaves Darkness and Nighthaunt, I guess, has a solid chance of taking out the general early on. From my experience. Especially Tzeentch. Alright?
My only takeaway is that Ironjawz goes below Big Wa just because Big Wa is Ironjawz with better shooting and more versatility.
Yeah, Big Wa is better than Ironjawz also because their magic is way more consistent.
Yeah.
And I would put Ironjawz there. I love them. They're my favorite army, and they're the perfect army for me. But I do think that they need to. They're too one track. That if an opponent knows how to dismantle them, they're gone.
Yeah, you're actually one of the few armies that can do the DPS check for a lot of armies.
Yes, they're also surprisingly squishy. If you have a mortal wound engine, like if you're Skaven or Tzeentch, then this army will melt.
Definitely. Tzeentch, Skaven, Seraphon. I think these things melt you. Or High Rend, I guess. High Rend fucks you a bit also.
Yeah. High Rend would mess with me. I think their matchup against KO is still pretty solid overall.
Definitely. You'll run them down.
Yeah. Ironjawz has some good matchups. Amazing matchups, especially against the bottom tiers, but it doesn't usually go 5-0 because it loses to A and B S tier armies.
In a Munchkin tournament, in a tournament where it's just all newbies, I can see how Ironjawz would even dismantle S tier armies because S tier armies take. I mean, Ironjawz is so oppressive if you don't know how it works. Straight up, remember when I first discovered Nurgle, you like wrecked me the first time I played Nurgle a couple of times. It took a while to learn the counter.
Yeah. And not just that, but Ironjawz, I think at 1,000 points in like newbie tournaments, they are like the best army in the game, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
Because the synergy, they have synergy, but the synergy is so minimal. Like, hey, did my boss tell me to move in the hero phase? Yeah, okay. That's synergy, boys. So yeah. Okay. Now we have a wide view of this tier list. What do you think is wrong? I think Soulblight needs to go to upper C.
Soulblight goes to upper C or lower B, pretty much the same to me. To be honest,
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think that the fact that the majority of the armies are in A and B, it kind of shows that the game is in a pretty healthy place. I think.
yeah. I still kind of argue that Maggotkin needs to go down a bit, but you know we'll leave it there for now because based on the meta and I guess right now in the current meta, we have to see how the new point increases changes things a bit. Let's see if the I guess if the win rates go down a bit also.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, we'll see.
You know
Because
what?
I think it's
Yeah.
because I think the point increase will drop things a bit, but it won't stop the spam. I definitely agree it won't stop the spam, but I think it will affect lists a bit. You won't see enough. You won't see the spam with monsters anymore, or as much monsters.
Yeah. Plus, the next GHB is going to be very telling. The prominent rumor now is that it's about small heroes.
Yeah,
But
which
well, they said that Galley was about infantry, and they get completely destroyed this edition.
oh look, small heroes now have retinues, but now shooting against small heroes do double damage.
Oh my god, if they still do that, then I don't even know why they theme them around them. Okay. My weird prediction though is that Apex Predators will come back as a battle plan.
I actually enjoyed Apex Predators. Just no fucking heroes with monsters. Please don't bring Apex Predators back. If you're gonna make me pit a foot hero against the Maw Crusher, that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That was a fucking nightmare.
That was so funny. It's like, oh no, I stomp you. Okay, fantastic.
Oh no, I stopped
It's
you and do
my
9
point
mortal
now.
wounds.
It's my
It's-
point now, sir.
And now the only way to get rid of it is to kill the Maw Crusher with another small hero. Oh, look who's left! A Rotbringer Sorcerer.
Fantastic.
Shit.
Okay. All right. Does this make sense to you though? Overall.
Yes, more or less, yes.
Okay.
The D tier kind of still bugs me a bit for some reason.
What
but
part of it bugs you? That Grots
I
are above
don't know
anything?
who deserves to be king of the D tier.
This is the most low stake mental exercise that I can think of.
But more
But
or
yeah.
less, everything seems to be in place. We all agree the D tier army needs hell of a rework. C armies need slight changes in the list. Not really a total revamp, but just
Yes.
updates,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. Though I
A
would
and
still, there's a part of me that thinks OBR is D, but that's okay. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't feel strongly enough. There's a part of me thinks that Soulblight is C because they have a lot of
Yeah.
good internal balance, but externally balanced, they're not. Actually, no, I put them in B. In fact, them being so low in B is a travesty to some people. I bet.
Yeah, because I've seen people make this work. I can kind of
Yeah.
argue that Soulblight can go higher than Fyreslayers in a way. I can
Yeah.
see them working against Fyreslayers in some way. But we're not doing a list. We're not doing a tome versus tome kind of list
Yeah.
right now.
No, that's
You know
true.
what? I would actually argue Soulblight deserves a spot above Fyreslayers. I think Soulblight has more answers to the meta than Fyreslayers does.
Okay, I'm not opposed to that right now.
I think
I-
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is fine. This is a pretty fun list. I had actually this was a really fun discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. I had fun with D tier. It's
Why? Oh man, like watching the people punching down. Watching people who are in the bottom punch each other is fun, I guess, in a way. For the Warhammer tier lists, like I think okay. So this is very fun, and thank you for sticking with us throughout the past. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Probably more than an hour. We had so much fun discussing this, and if you disagree with where we put things, please leave a comment below telling us your opinion. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. But yeah, I think that's really about it. Is there anything else you want to add, Nico?
No, I just noticed that the D tier armies, there's 4 D tier armies. You know what that means? Triumph and treachery right there between these guys.
Oh no! Who wants to fight for the last table scrap of dignity?
Exactly. But
If
yeah,
you
that's
win, if you win Triumph and Treachery, you go up to C tier, bottom C tier.
oh shit, promotion
The
promotion fight.
Yeah, but you know, the Gloomspite Gitz Battle Tome is coming out in winter of 2023. So, sorry, winter of this winter. Winter
Yeah.
is weird because it's in 2 years at a time.
Well, they
Yeah,
said
it's coming out soon.
I kind of read that they're coming out already in January, but yeah, let's see.
Jan and Feb. Yeah, Jan and Feb is winter. So
Okay.
I'm hoping we'll get previews by end of month.
Oh, please, Grots. I just want to paint Grots.
That'd be super fantastic. But yeah. All right. Thanks, Nico, for joining me tonight. This is fun. Yeah. Let's see if people will flame us in the comments and revoke our AOS player card for, having this be our opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Peace out.